Hey guys, I'm here with my esteemed guest co-host Roxas. Uh, there he is. There he is. Roxas.
Roxas, this man speaks nonsense.
Roxas, don't let him deceive you. Roxas, 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 Roxas. Anyway, Roxas is like, Grandpa, you're stupid. I know. Grandpa's stupid, but Grandpa loves you. Oh, he's got the little smile on the side of his face. Yeah, you're very. Here, let everyone see you a little more. What? There we go. Get the camera. Come on. There we go. That face. Look at that face. Mwah. I can do whatever I want, and he just goes right back to doing that. I can give him kisses, and I can scratch his booty, and he just like, he just relaxes. Yeah, yeah, I have a very good relationship with you, Bubba, huh? You have a very good relationship with you. I should. I've raised them every day since they were born. Anyway, a tale as old as time. F around and find out. The Walt Disney Company scrambles to adjust after election, but can't find conservatives in the company. You don't say. Maybe when you go out of your way to alienate those people, when you start having TV shows or whatever that are just left wing talking points just the entire time, shows that are based entirely on their views, and they just sit there because Donald Trump, MAGA Republic, and then you wonder why there's no conservatives there because you go out of your way to make sure there's none. You know, the people say they're for love and tolerance. They're you could be trans and they're like, oh, you're trans. But then they hear that you're a conservative. They're like, we'll get back to you. Because you're trans, which is diverse enough for them, but you're not the right kind of trans because you're a conservative. So now they're scrambling around because they've went out of their way to make sure that they don't hire any conservatives. Talk about panic. Panic at the Disney. The Walt Disney Company is reportedly rushing to find majority voices after the election now that they realize they're losing the biggest swath of the country. They're, you right there, bub? There's just one really big problem. They can't find any conservatives within their ranks. ABC News brass are in panic mode. What are you, what are you doing? Are you like, I'm readjusting, Grandpa. Here, hang on. There we go. Your tail was pressing against my shirt. Um, in panic mode as they hunt for conservative voices to balance the rabid anti-Trump rhetoric spewed by the hosts of The View, as well as those shows on other TV, as those other shows. Host has learned. The Disney-owned network, which came under fire over how ABC News moderators grilled Donald Trump during the presidential debate against Vice President Kamala Harris, has been holding high-level meetings since last week's rout for the former president. Sources close to the situation told the Post. Given the leadership at Disney, one might fairly conclude that this represents a seismic shift at the House of Mouse. Bob Iger, who is as devoted to the progressive cause as a chief executive officer could be, his underling Dana Walden, who leads all of Disney Television and the news division, is best friends with Kamala Harris, to the point she introduced Harris to her husband. So even if they are working overtime to find a token Trumper for their TV shows, it is a shot across the bow of Disney. Of course, a reasonable person would think that a majority viewpoint should at least be given, yeah, on screen representation. But no. but just having an actual breathing conservative on their panels is already hyperventilation territory for everyone involved. Yeah. Yeah, you have like you look at these TV shows, The View, and if you have someone who's on that side and these like The View and they're sitting there bashing Donald Trump like they always do, and you have one of these lefties and they're like, well, some things he said, people were taking out of, blowing out of proportion. The others just like start and they start like going into panic mode like, no, you're not allowed to say that. You need to think and behave the way we do. You need to hate Trump always, no matter what. You can't agree with him. You can't agree with him. What are you, a far right extremist? So, like, these people are so insane. They are insane. Such is the problem with having taken a company into ultra partisan territory over the last decade. Yeah. Like I said, this is what happens when you go out of your way to hire people who think the same way as you. And if you're going in there and you're like, I want a job on this show, or you do this, or you do that, and you're like, I'm trans, I'm non-binary, I'm this, I'm that, but you're conservative, yeah, good luck. Good luck. They'll be like, no. No. Yet in a corporation that is global, gigantic, Disney is stuck with the reality that it has become so insanely toxic for diversity of thought that they literally cannot find a single person to put on television as a representation of America's majority. Yeah, like people are complaining, but again, if you look at the outcome of the election, people thought that California was going red. California. So, yeah. At this point, one might wonder if Harvard was a better representation of conservatives than company Bob Iger subverted. It's not just the ABC News division that is now openly admitted to be a completely captured ideological mouthpiece. Disney has big problems with their movie business as well. Rachel Zegler playing Snow White has become a nightmare for Mickey. The woman who fancies herself a star but has yet to achieve a box office win to her name in a walking, talking ball is a walking, talking ball destruction when it comes to consumer. Yeah, she just doesn't know when to shut up. I mean, in fact, I just did one today or whatever, today or yesterday, about her basically saying that about Trump supporters and you know just the typical lefty talking points about Roe v. Wade, and that's really all they care about. They only care about the ability to kill unborn children. They don't go on about anything else apart from that. Women's rights, women's rights, women's rights. Apart from killing unborn children, what rights are being taken away? Exactly. None. In fact, you have less rights right now. You don't even have bathrooms to yourself anymore. Some weird dude in a dress can just waltz on in and take a piss. So you have less rights now. You might be losing the ability to kill unborn children when you want, and you might have to travel to a different state, but at least you'll be safe in your bathrooms, you'll have your safe spaces, and you don't have to worry about creepy dudes walking in and assaulting you and your daughters. I mean, I think that should probably be a bigger concern. But hey, these people in Hollywood, they're all programmed the same way. They all have the same talking points. So, whether it is on the television side of things or the big screen slow moving apocalypse, Disney is reaping what they sowed for the last decade. The company can attempt to fix this with window dressing. Dressing. But the reality is a corporation with fundamental problems. Not only did Disney empty itself of any world view deviation from the mandated orthodoxy of its chief executive, but it also deleted out of the talent earned through generations of success, replacing it with impossible and near-term and difficult in the long term. It turns out the geniuses they ran away with Dogma found other places to play. So now it's Joy Bear, Whoopi, and Ziegler. They're the real Disney Dream Team. Yeah, Joyless Bear. What, Roxas? What, Roxas? Hang on, I think he wants to go out. But yeah, so whether it be the movies or who they hire for, news stations or whatever, they've gone out of their way to make sure there's no conservatives. Again, if you're a trans, non-binary, or black or whatever, and you're a member of a minority, yeah, that's great for them. But the minute they find out you're conservative, they're like, uh, uh, because they don't want you challenging their status quo. Because obviously you're a diversity for them, representation, but you don't think the same way, which challenges and threatens them. Um, so I honestly, I think that Disney just needs to collapse right now. I mean, they're not producing anything good. I think if Disney was to just go bankrupt at this point, I don't think anyone would care. We have so many amazing Disney movies from the last, almost 100 years. Um, I really don't think anyone would care. I mean, I'll go back and watch the original Snow White. I'll go back and watch Pinocchio. I'll go back and watch Aladdin, Little Mermaid. I mean, I loved Little Mermaid growing up. That movie was great. The animation, especially it being underwater, how they animated, the swish of the tails and everything. Every time they move, you could see the bubbles, and they had to every single one. It was just incredible. Um, so if they were to go bankrupt because of the stupid choices they've made in hiring and the fact that they'd rather hire a diversity hire who thinks like them than a conservative who can actually do the job, they deserve to go bankrupt. They deserve to collapse. I've said before, Disney is no longer Disney. It's no longer about innovation, imagination, and all that. No, it's just a shell of itself. It's just a shell of itself. I mean, I can only imagine what Walt Disney himself would say if he saw what terrible state his creation has become. I can't even imagine. He's like, this is not the Disney I left. What happened? We were about producing joy and happiness and things for families. What is this? But people were like, oh, he's just a racist. He's just a racist. Because that's what you can't admit that things were good back then for Disney when he was around, and in the 70s and 80s and 90s. You can't admit that. You just gotta throw he's a racist. They were racist. Yeah, but Disney was good. Disney was good. And then you get people who are like, oh, we can't hurt Fifis. We gotta have representation. And what do you know? It turns to shit. So maybe it was better when it was racist, because we were actually getting good representation in these movies, as opposed to the force crap. So maybe it needs to go back to the way it was, with innovation and imagination. And I'm not asking for actual racism. That's not what I'm saying. If you're stupid enough to think that's what I'm saying, no. Disney needs to go back to the way it was when Walt was running it, the way it was in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, all the way up until they decided that they needed representation, inclusivity, and everything. So I hope they crash and burn. I will be so amazed and happy when it does, because it's what they get. It's what they deserve. It's what they deserve. You wanna stop people from working for you because, oh no, they're conservative. You deserve everything you get. You deserve everything you get. And it's dealing with more politics, but because it's Disney, and because their choices have been affecting the movies, um, whatever else, like, Disney, Star Wars, you name it, they have a hand in it. Their choices to focus on DEI rather than hiring the best people for the job clearly has affected things. So that's why I'm talking about it, because this affects the main, the movies and games and this and that, which is kind of my area, my territory here. So that's why I was talking. That's why I'm talking about it. Um. So yeah, this is what happens when you focus on having nothing but liberal voices. How you have your news or your talk shows, and instead of having a equal amount of conservatives and Democrats, or conservative and liberals, you have nothing but liberals on there, and then you bring in like one conservative, and then it's just a constant attack on that person. So Disney deserves to go up in flames at this point. It's nothing like it used to be. Nothing like it used to be. But we know that's not going to happen. But one can hope. One could hope. Anyway, that's going to do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.